What's going on, everybody? It's Ted again here with CountdownCityGeeks.com. Got another fantastic interview for you. I have a full house right now. I have director Jamie Bailey and the cast of the action thriller, The Omro Heist. Please welcome Simon Phillips, Ken Bressers, Ken Bressers, and Tony Award winner. I want to make sure I remember that. Anthony Crivello. How are you, gentlemen?
Thank you.
Hello, how are you?
Oh,
I want to say first off, gentlemen, you did a fantastic job. I am actually shocked we don't get more heist movies more often. And this one was refreshing. You guys really pulled out some new components, some new story kind of angles, a lot of plot twists. It was really fascinating. And first, Simon, let's start with you. You've worked with a handful of these guys already on other projects. What made you want to go from horror movies to now robbing a bank with this crew?
well, it's just telling movies, isn't it? It's it's storytelling, isn't it? It's all the stuff that we do. We hope have nice, rich kind of characters, and the backdrop of it being a horror movie, being an action movie, being a drama, whatever it is, a sci-fi movie. That's just the backdrop sort of. So it's always fun to work with great talented people. This is the first time I'm working with Tony, but Tony is a friend of Ken's, so it's one of those things of proving that it's a small world, and it's nice when that happens. You don't often get to work with your friends. But this is a nice example of that happening. So yeah, it was great fun, and I would do it again in a heartbeat, definitely.
And you and Jamie are the writers for this story. What inspired you both to come up with a bank heist movie?
Oh, well, we'll let Ken tell you the origins of the movie because it actually happens in the town of Omro, which is a real place in Wisconsin.
Really? All
Yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. So,
I live in Omro. That's where I am right now. We're right outside of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, center of Wisconsin, and I own the pharmacy here. And our pharmacy started to expand to the point where I needed another location. And it was just a sister community, a few miles up the road. Winneconne, Wisconsin. I bought a bank building, a bank that had just recently moved. And I got in there. I loved it. I mean, it was way more than I thought it would be in terms of it had like these beautiful walk-in safes, and the place was still set up like a bank. It looked like they just all picked up their stuff on their desk and left. And as I got closer to buying it, and I ultimately bought the building. I called Simon right away, and I said, Simon, this is fantastic. I said, this might be a good location for a movie. So Simon came down with his son and spent a couple days here, and he took some pictures, took some videos, went back to Canada, and came up with a great script, and here we are. We went ahead with it.
That's fantastic. Not every day that you kind of get the set location first and draw inspiration from that. Simon or Jamie, what were your thoughts going into this? Are you kind of pulling from other heist films that you've seen before? What were you kind of trying to accomplish? What were your goals when you started off with this project?
Simon will answer this question, but like Simon wrote this, I did not write the script. I come in after the fact, and we kind of change things or whatever. But the origins of 90% of the script is completely from Simon Phillips's head.
Yeah, I mean it's great for me, Jamie. We were talking about it earlier, but well, I think it's boys actually. Just generally, I think that every guy here loves a heist movie. I mean, we just do. We love the imminent danger of it. The sort of jeopardy that somebody's in, and the idea that you put yourself in those, the shoes of the hero or the anti-hero, whatever, and going, would I do the same thing? Usually, it's a rich kind of character sort of study of people. People that panic under pressure, people that are cool under pressure. Like sort of, and that's a real interesting. But it's all Heat, Die Hard. It's all like all of these sort of siege heist movies. They're all
And I, ki-
always.
I kind of feel like all those movies too are kind of like an homage to the old westerns, right? Like it's like the modern place that we now have westerns is in a bank heist.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We're missing our young star of the group, Demir. So, Anthony, I'll ask you first. You spent the most time on screen with Demir. Tell us about your collaboration with him as a father and son duo.
What was contained in the script that Simon had written was a very complicated relationship between father and son. not only was it because son had left small town and gone off to, to greater heights at the FBI. And so there's a pride from the father, but there's also a certain resentment. And that also underlying in that was twofold. One, you're leaving at a time when mother, who is missing you, is also ill. And it's the father relationship with the unseen, except in just one photo, but spoken about relationship between husband and wife, as well as son and mother. And then son leaving, who is kind of a little bit of a ladies' man and has really had relationships with other girls in the town, and the detritus of his behavior is left for the father to sort of mop up. So there's a myriad of things that dad is dealing with son, and he leaves. Then in the middle of that, in small town America, this crisis occurs. And father and son then slowly begin to join forces and rely on one another's talents to build, and obviously with other support from community, to build and solve. How are we going to solve this problem that can happen in the smallest of locations, as Simon and Jamie were referring to too? That tense line that happens in a bank heist movie, and what all of us like as well, is that it can happen in the smallest of places. And we were very fortunate because of the relationships that Ken had with so many different merchants and people, and the mayor and the police chief and fire chief in Omro, to access all of these different facilities that just give the film itself that authentic look that was achieved by Simon and Jamie.
There you go. Simon, it's actually a great point. There's such a great dynamic that you kind of don't see that often. And I was wondering where it went, but you really flesh it out throughout the entire movie. So, Simon, what inspiration did you get for creating this sort of dynamic between the father and son for the film?
Right, when Ken called me to come and have a look at the location, I took a bit of a road trip down, and I actually took my son with me. So I was, that was the first thing, because we didn't have the script. Again, we kind of reverse engineer it from the what's available out. Let's sort of go, oh, this is the setting. What can we make here? We knew it was kind of going to be a bank robbery heist movie, but that's all we knew. And then when Ken showed the location, and I had my boy for a couple of days, sort of, so it was nice to have that. And it's, fathers and sons are complicated. Sort of, there is this thing. So I wanted to get this idea that the Cole, Demir, played by Demir, he had left town, and maybe he'd left town at a time when, and hadn't come back when his mother was ill. But his mother actually told him to leave because there was nothing for him here. Like she wanted him to spread his wings and kind of fly, whereas the father thought he should stay. Sort of, it's both love for one woman. Sort of one. The mother wanted him to make a life for himself. So when he comes home, it's kind of it's awkward because he's the guy that left and Tony's the guy that stayed. And each man trying to prove that they're good people. But of course, Demir ends up proving himself the good man by going undercover to kind of help rescue his ex-girlfriend. So somebody maybe you wouldn't want to rescue, but it kind of shows the character of the man he is. And I think that's what it's all about, is that, Tony and Demir's characters need to recognize each other's, that they are both, good people, sort of, they just are on opposite sides of the same coin, really, sort of. So, and that I really love playing the scenario out, and where they were having the chat at the cafes, it's kind of loaded with, what's not being said, and hopefully we give the audience enough. You can kind of get what's going on, and you're like, oh, these guys they just don't be able to seem to agree on anything. So if they can't agree, like, where do they go from there? And then the bank robbery happens, which gives them a distraction, but it also helps them come closer together and sort of realize that. So I kind of like all that.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
James. Oh, go ahead, Ken.
Well, as the overlooker, which is the producer, what I don't know how to say this without complimenting Simon, which so I'll go ahead anyway. But I he gets that character depth in a couple good conversations. And sometimes people come and they say, this writer here, a lot of depth of character, a lot of neat things, and then all of a sudden, I remember watching an old movie about the Titanic, and they wanted to get the characters, everyone that was important that died on the Titanic, that you almost forgot that the ship was going to sink. because you were just so pushed. It's almost like we got to make sure we get depth of character. So let's just beat it because we don't want the audience to miss it. Well, Simon, every people, well, all the people we've talked to, they get that depth right away. And he does it so simply and it works so great. Leaving a lot of room then to have fun with the action.
Well,
And
it's up to the actor as well. You're able to explain it to Tony. Tony needs no training on this or anything like that. But the actor has to be able to get the idea, and then when they start reading the things, you're like, yes, like they take it to another level. As long as they know where their starting point is, they can usually offer you something pretty interesting. And the Tony Demir scenes were just nothing but a joy to watch, to be honest.
Absolutely.
And I mean, we were very fortunate. And I have to say, and that, again, that's a tip of the hat to Simon and Ken and Jamie. We had a tremendous supporting cast. The players across the board are very talented, and we were pulling not only from the state of Wisconsin, but from Illinois, Chicago, Dallas, Canada. Just some wonderful character and lead performances as well, so that they really all and everybody did their homework too. I mean, Jamie can speak to what it took to make a film like this with a restricted budget and yet maximizing what we had.
Yeah, like the crew was all the cast was obviously very, very talented. We have a skeleton crew when we do this, and we have to move very quickly. But like Simon and I are really good at, I think, finding the magic on the day. Sometimes you can't really see the forest for the trees until you're like actually on set and you're actually filming a scene, and the ideas just kind of can present themselves. And I find that Simon and I've made 7 movies together now, and we're really good at identifying those things. And we're, I think, 99% of the time on the same page. If he suggests something or I suggest something, but there was a lot of that. Like for instance, we were talking a lot about how one of the goons had the chapstick. That guy, he was reading the Home and Garden magazine. He's talking about the Golden Bachelor. That
Yeah.
was none of that was in the script, and we literally just discovered that on the day. Literally, the actor was putting on chapstick. And we're like, oh shit, there's an idea. What if he did that in the scene? He's like, he's concerned about things that you would never think that person would ever be concerned about. And I find those little bits add some magic. There's now the scene where the girl has that note and she takes it out, and we don't want to ruin anything, but like what was on that note, that was something that we invented on the day. And I find stuff like that, especially in these smaller independent movies, that we don't have all the bells and whistles that you would have in a bigger movie. That if you can make people, if you can entertain people on multiple levels and surprise them with a laugh every once in a while, that it goes a long way to make the whole movie more palatable.
Yeah, you know what? You really had me on that note bit. I was like, there's got to be something really important on that note.
That's my favorite bit of the whole movie, I have to say.
Oh my gosh. Jamie, talk to us about your collaboration with Demir. What were your discussions like on the set? What was he giving you? What were you telling him? What notes? Stuff like that.
They say 90% of directing is casting. I've worked with Demir before. We also have a good shorthand. But like what I really enjoy, like Simon wrote a great script, but you give it to an actor, and they're always going to interpret it their own way. And everyone, Demir included, just really brought their character to life in a way that you don't necessarily see as you read it. If you certain inflections on certain words at certain times bring a whole new meaning to the script and bring it to life. He was great to work with.
Absolutely. Simon, I got to tell you, I think it's really challenging to come up with a villain who's both someone you dislike, but also someone that you're just like really entertained by. And you really nailed that sort of duality of
Yeah,
Gerard. What was your inspiration? Who were you channeling? What were your sort of
channeling
villains that you
Simon
kind
wanted to
of wanted to pull
produce
out?
people dislike and like at the same time.
Yeah.
It's very confusing for them. But I mean, I like all these, Gary Oldman in Leon, sort of about Alan Rickman in Die Hard, but also Alan Rickman in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. Like some people can play a villainous character, add a touch of humor to it, which makes them sort of human as well. But somehow it seems like they're not just assholes. They actually enjoy their job. And that, like sort of, for some reason, it makes it really watchable. At some point when you're watching Die Hard, you want Alan Rickman to win, sort of, you're on his side, and then you remember that Bruce Willis is the hero, sort of type thing, and then you go back to that. And I think that's nice, when you have that, the audience are briefly on the side. So they enjoy the heart of the movie is kind of on Demir and Tony's side, sort of type thing. The fun that they have is with the recklessness of the bank robbers, so we add that humor into it. So, it's funny because it appeals to all sides of men's personalities. Do you know what I mean? Sort of
Yeah.
they want to be the good guy, but if they were going to be the bad guy, they'd be that bad guy, sort of with guns and having way too much fun doing this sort of stuff.
How soon into writing the script do you realize I'm going to play this guy?
Oh, I usually know that at the beginning.
Okay.
But I know all the other characters as well. Like, so about half of the characters straight away, I know that Ken is going to be the sleazy politician. Sorry, the corrupt politician. Bloody, that was a
Sorry, it's
Freudian.
just politician.
Yeah, sorry.
The handsome politician. Yeah.
Yeah, the politician, yeah. But then I know all this is because when I'm writing it, it helps me like hear their voice, like how they'd say it. Like there's nothing worse than trying to write 20 characters where you don't really know anything about the characters. But if you write with their literal pictures up, it makes it a lot easier to picture what they'd say and how they'd say it, and it gives their voices sound distinct. Although then.
Tony, kind of the same question for you. You play the chief of Omro. Where are you drawing your inspiration from? What research did you kind of go into for this character?
I actually have a couple of friends that are police officers. So I mean, I know their personalities, and it's complex. They're regular guys and they're hometown guys and all of that, and yet they're putting their life on the line, at the drop of a hat. I'm looking at the likes of like the Gary Coopers and the Clint Eastwoods, the sheriff rides into town, those kind of classic characters too. Or the Jack Wardens on the other side of the fence. And how they sort of plant their feet and try and figure out how I'm gonna solve this particular case. In this instance, working with my son, and the relationship developed with Demir, but also Nick, who plays Billy, the sidekick as well. And he's a terrific actor and does just wonderful work in it. I was saying before about the chemistry that was there between players, and the development. And as Simon says, and Jamie had alluded to, you're doing it all in shorthand because you've got a limited shooting schedule as well. I mean, I'll let Jamie speak to more of that. And you have to have a troupe of actors that are coming in prepared.
Gotcha. Go for it, Jamie.
Yeah, well, yeah, like sometimes I mean, Simon and I have shot 30 pages in a day more than once. I don't think we had to do that. Yeah, and it's kind of bananas. I don't think we had to do quite that much on this, but I mean, like our shooting schedule is so short, and we are kind of figuring it out on the fly. That if our actors, don't know their lines, that would sink us, like right off the bat. And obviously, they have to do more than just know their lines. They have to give an Oscar worthy performance on top of that. So it's always a bit of magic when we get through the entire shooting schedule, and then I put the movie together on the editor of the movie, and have all these fantastic pieces. But if it never had that talent, it wouldn't happen. Yeah.
Also, to make that more difficult for them as well, they might have a 20-page day. A 20-page day, by the way, would not scare anybody that knows us when we're making movies.
Only 20.
A 30-page day we're kind of like, all right, but a 20-page day wouldn't even warrant a text message going bloody 20 page. It wouldn't scare anybody. But also, what makes it better for these guys is on the day, me and Jamie are thinking of things and reframing ideas, going, actually, you should say that, you should do this and you should say this. We're actually changing the 20 pages as they get it as well. So they really have to be on there. They really have to know what they're doing to be able to cope with that level of to keep up with us changing, because they don't know the whole story really, and we're still figuring out the whole story. But if we see something, Jamie, we often want to go in that direction for a little bit, like go, all right, yeah, actually this is, like Jamie was talking about the chapstick thing earlier, like it's like, all right, maybe that's his thing, maybe that's what's happening here, and we make a moment of that.
And then reverse engineer, like that particular thing, like we made him buy that magazine at the Bait and Tackle.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
stuff,
Yeah,
don't we?
we shot that scene later, so we try to add the bits that we've added later, if that makes any sense. But also too, like we're blessed with such a great cast, but not everyone was a professional actress or actor. There's like one scene in particular, the girl that has the note, and Simon sits down, and before he gives the note, has that conversation. We completely changed all the dialogue for that scene, and this poor girl who's not a professional actor, she actually works at Ken's pharmacy.
Ellie.
Um, and one of the best performances in the entire movie, one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. And she delivered, completely different, like what she had been rehearsing for weeks, now completely thrown out the window. And she gave that performance in that scene, which I'm just completely blown away. The fact that, this is not what she does for a living, but she was so good.
She was terribly nervous about it because it was a big moment, and it's all kind of on her reaction a little bit, of what it is. And then we changed it like with about 8 minutes. She'd been practicing it for weeks, and then with 8 minutes to go, we give her right. Actually, we're going to do this. We're going to set it. We're going to do that. And she was. I was like, oh, I was like, oh, this. And when she started to do it, we were like looking at me and Jamie. We were like, it's really good. She goes, I'm so nervous. Like I'm having like a nervous breakdown here. And you're like, it's really working for what we're doing.
Yeah.
It does. It does.
We're
Look
saying
like
another interview.
perfect.
Like, if in that scene she had to be super confident, maybe it wouldn't have worked.
Yeah.
But the fact that she was nervous, and she's not an actress, like it just really worked.
Yeah, fantastic. I think most of your fight scenes really just use your main cast. Am I right about that? They all had to do their own stunts
Oh
and their
yeah,
own choreography in this one?
there was no there's no stunt doubles, and there probably should have been a couple times. There's one scene where one of the goons, something happens to him in the basement. I want to ruin what happens in it, but he actually did hit his head during it, which is terrible to say. But he was a trooper, and he went back, and because we weren't done. Actually, the first time that we had shot it, we kind of blocked out what was going to happen. In an action scene like that, you got to shoot the same thing a bunch of different times, single camera. That we had to do it again, but now I'm going to do it from this angle, kind of thing. And the very first take, everyone was just super jazzed to do it, and they just took him and threw him. And he didn't break character in the scene at all. God bless him. And then afterwards, it's like, no, I've hurt myself, and he had to go away for like 10, 15 minutes, but he came back in, and we had to keep doing it. We had to keep doing the exact same thing where he got hurt. Obviously, we're trying to slow it down. And we got it, but yeah, all the actors did their own stunts.
I want to speak to something, and it's a tip of the hat to Jamie as well. And it was the same kind of philosophy that was employed by Elia Kazan, for instance, in like shooting on the waterfront with the likes of Marlon Brando, and that whole the method training and all of that stuff that came out of Lee Strasberg. Jamie kept there's a scene, and Jamie kept the camera rolling where when the goons first break into the by the teller stations,
Yeah.
and there was an actress who was part of the troop that was going to be brought down and held hostage, and as this actor, she was a local, I believe, and as she was going backward, she tripped and fell, and a stanchion got knocked over. Well, that was the take. And it was real, and it was there, and that stanchion, which was not planned, stayed on the floor for the rest of the shoot as well. That was, there's no, as Stanislavski, the great Russian director and teacher, said, no such thing as an accident on stage, only the potential for divine inspiration. That's the great thing about independent filmmaking as well.
Right.
Yeah, and I have to say, like, I kind of forgot about this, but yes, that poor woman's just a local. All the hostages were just locals, and that scene's actually in the trailer, and she just truly fell. And I was shooting that sequence with a Steadicam, and oh my God, the human in me instantly wants to, like, are you okay? And then the DP director in me is like, I don't shake the camera, because I do know when things like that happen that you don't ruin the shot, because hopefully she's okay, but this is a great shot on top of that. But at the same time, like, we stopped camera like literally 2 seconds after it happened. Are you okay? And this woman, just to show you the spirit of this town, was like, I'm totally fine. I am totally fine. There's nothing wrong. Let's continue to do it. And then she like graciously laid on the floor while we finished out that entire bit. And also too, just how we make things up on the fly. That she knocks over one of the barriers when you're waiting in line at the bank, and that becomes, as you know, like a big part of the story later on. And that was not scripted. That was like, you know, finding the things and finding these happy accidents and making them work.
That's fantastic. I talked about the script at the beginning of this conversation, and I mentioned that there's some great twists and great turns. You guys are, pulling out some great moments where you're really just blowing the audience's mind with where the story's going. Ken, what was your sort of first reaction when you read the script, going through it? When did you know that, hey, this is really going to work?
Actually, it's on a show like this, a movie like this. Um, you didn't. I don't think I really knew it until we first saw it at our preview. I
Mm.
did a preview up here on a big screen in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, for everyone in the community that wanted to come as a thank you for all their help. And Tony came up, and the two of us were there, and we got a chance to see our movie the first time. Big screen, latest technology with sound, and plus we got a chance to listen to the audience. We got a chance to see what they were interested in, what they laughed at, and more importantly, when they were really quiet and you knew they were listening. And uh, and so then shortly thereafter, Tony has a friend, Lee Barzak, right, down
Yes,
in
Lee
Milwaukee,
Barzak.
who owns three theaters, and he allowed us to premiere the show in Milwaukee because we had just won the Milwaukee Independent Film Festival as Best Picture. I think Simon got some award to a Best Actor thing, but whatever. And we again, we got a chance to get some feedback. And at this particular one, we had a lot of press, a lot of reporters there, more people that more, kind of knew what they were looking at. And we got a lot of feedback. And you know what we did? We were able to go back. Tony and I were able to go back, tell Jamie, Simon the reactions, what we felt, how we were feeling it. And we made some cuts.
Mm.
We made some final edits to it, and I'm going to tell you something. I really believe that those final edits helped the movie to a great degree. I mean, it didn't totally redo it. They were small cuts, but I won't say that with Jamie here because he had to do the work. So they were probably very difficult to do, Jamie. But in my eyes, they were small cuts. And I would encourage any independent filmmaker that's watching to really do that. To go out there, get a friend or someone that has a theater, put it up on the big screen, bring some friends, 20, 30, 40 people, get some feedback, and then before you lock that thing down, maybe you'll see something that will help improve your movies.
Yeah. You don't really know what you have until an audience experiences it. Like you intend when you make a movie, you intend the scene to work this way. You intend the movie to have this overall feeling that you're supposed to have by the end of it. But you don't really know if it works until you sit in a room with an audience and they react to it. They have human emotions and they react to it and they laugh when they're supposed to laugh or don't laugh or they find something funny that wasn't supposed to be funny or there's like they will give you the real world feedback that you need if you need to make changes.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I'm That's so rare that you've been able to show it a few times to an audience, and then you're kind of thinking like, hey, we kind of do this and do that, and having a friend who's also the director willing to change his vision. I think that's also
Right.
quite rare and quite very special and unique. I'm glad you guys have that really close relationship where you're able to do that because I feel like in most cases, producers probably don't get that much leeway with their directors. Is that right?
Right.
But,
That's
We have
but with
we haven't
Jamie,
actually
but,
done
but with
it.
God,
that's right. If
With God, anything is possible.
that's right.
that's right.
I love all my children.
Oh yeah, it is. It really was a great a great experience, and I'm so happy we did that. I just think it's fantastic. It worked out that way. And
One of the ancillary things that's happened with this film, I mean, as Ken was speaking from it, we had great support from Omro. We had great support in the city of Milwaukee with the Avalon Theater, Lee Barzak. We were able to bring in press and get some reviews and get some make some headway. That helps to launch us to get the distribution, all of that. And the other thing that has happened in the state of Wisconsin is now that the state of Wisconsin is offering a 30% tax incentive break to filmmakers with a $5 million slush fund to access. So that not only is it good for independent filmmakers, other filmmakers and artists, but it offers us another opportunity. And, this team is already, constructing more scripts and looking at more product and thinking about future projects to go and do it again and to keep churning out good product over and over and over again. So it's really been wonderful and serendipitous.
exactly.
That's fantastic. And I'm hearing more and more states kind of offer more incentives. They're starting to open it up a little bit more. And that's making California even trying to be more sort of
Hey, sorry,
Competitive.
California's the last
Competitive.
place you can go with film right now.
no,
You
exactly. It's the
you're
last
anywhere
place,
near it.
but they're trying to turn all that around and they're
Oh,
trying to
it's
take some
it's
more
alarming that
opportunities.
yeah, it's alarming that California are late to the game. When you think Los
Right.
Angeles, you guys should be the first ones there. You
Yep.
should be leading the pack, but they let Atlanta. Anyway, you know what I mean. They let
No,
other
no, no.
people come in and poach some of their work.
Ted,
Absolutely.
that's living in Texas. I mean,
Yeah.
there's tremendous incentives that are being offered in Texas, in Alabama, in Mississippi, in Florida, in Atlanta, and Wilmington, North Carolina, upstate New York, even the Chicago area, and now state of Wisconsin. Utah is in the process of also doing the same thing. You've got that, again, our neighbors in Canada with Calgary and Toronto and
Oh, yeah.
Vancouver. They're offering incentive and opportunities for filmmakers to continue to work within tight budgets but to create good film.
Yeah. And then we have guys like you, Ted, that, are kind enough to bring us on your show and give us some exposure and hopefully drive some people to watch our movies and other independent movies. Independent movies are losing that stigma they used to have of don't watch an independent movie that's going to be really artsy or really out there and it's really, like one guy decided he's going to make some goofy movie. And these things are getting better and better. And I think that with the tax incentives and the location changes and with now the support of more and more people, I think they're going to be a big force and continue to
Ted,
increase.
you know this as well as all of us. It's that Roger Corman philosophy of working and what Roger Corman was able to do with that small studio in Santa Monica, California, and how much product he created, how many opportunities he gave to actors who went on to have tremendous careers. The Jack Nicholsons and Dennis Hoppers, and I can go on, and directors as well that the Spielbergs and the Ron Howards, he gave them their first shot. And so you never know what's going to come out of that independent film market and
Yeah.
what can be had. I just was at I went to the Vista up in Los Feliz in California, a theater that is owned now by Quentin Tarantino. And you see what's on the bill there, and it's all these B movies and small movies, and along with some classics, and you realize, I mean, it's all part of film history.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
I
is.
I completely agree. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's wonderful that I get to do this and talk to independent filmmakers and actors like yourselves. You mentioned a bunch of directors who've been supporting the independent scene. An hour north of me is Richard Linklater, who is great, famous for his independent films that he's made, and they've become cult classics. Some of them have, and he's got his own theater up there where they hold little festivals, they hold showings and screenings for young directors, independent directors, students in school. And so, yeah, I really love that the film community has expanded as much as it has over the last 5, 10 years. and that I think the states are coming around to kind of supporting the industry. It's not just a California thing anymore, and it's allowing a lot of new directors, upcoming directors, or just independent filmmakers like yourselves continue the job. And not only for yourselves, but you're helping the community. You're helping communities like Omro be a part of something special.
Right.
I didn't know that these actors in the background were all just residents of the town. How do you go about getting a town to buy in to being a part of a project, or do you guys have some sort of relationship already established in the town?
Well,
Well,
Ken's
yeah,
from,
Yeah.
oh, sorry,
I live in,
right, lives in town.
and then we also got a big help with Tony Daly, who is the feature writer on the local newspaper. And
Mm.
he did a real nice, he's been supporting us all along with all of our movies, but he did a really nice feature on that this was about to happen, and told everyone if they're interested, contact me, stop in at the pharmacy. And so we got a little groundswell of people, got a list of names, so that Simon had something to work with when he started to cast the down part of the roster. So yeah, it was great. It really
What's
was.
great about being in that sort of environment as well is like we didn't really have to go out and find people. They kind of came to us because they're kind of curious. They're like, "What are you doing?" And then all of a sudden
But
we'd have a PA for the week. Jamie was telling the story about we had a PA that came on. She called in. She took off a week from her daycare job so she could work on our movie.
I
don't
love
forget
it.
about Gizmo.
Oh, and
Well,
Gizmo went on.
yeah.
What PA on the thing? Very keen guy, lovely guy. Don't know his real name, but we called him
Ken,
Gizmo. And he
Ken,
went on. He went on and he got some sort of scholarship. Jamie, did you hear this?
Yeah. Well, what
I
he
did
did
know.
was
Tell me.
he
Sorry,
was
Ken, what was
studying
it?
he was studying film and TV production, and about to graduate, and he came on as a intern, and he got a really good job at a local, not small town local, at a larger city TV station.
Yeah.
And he got it only because he was able to put this movie on his resume. And
Oh, that makes me so happy. He was a tremendous help. Sorry,
yeah,
what is his actual name? Because we had a
his
nickname for him.
last name was Katie, but I don't remember his first name.
Anyway, if you're listening, kid, very happy for you. But one of the funny stories was, I don't know if you remember this, Simon, but so all the hostages were just locals or whatever. But we shot, we needed them on different days, so we had to kind of round them back up, and we couldn't have anyone missing. We were
Right.
trying to avoid that, and then we had to one day shoot the scene. It was actually a part of the bank heist scene that happens like 18 minutes in. And there's the one woman after the smoke bomb goes off, she runs to the back. It's in the trailer, and then Simon comes with a gun and hits her. She wasn't available for hours. We didn't know why, but she was getting her hair done. That posed two problems. That posed two problems. One, she wasn't there, but B, like she got to look totally different when she shows up. But it all worked out.
You know,
It didn't work out. That's why I hit her in the face.
Yeah, that wasn't script. That was actually I just was running the camera wild, and Simon just had one of his outbursts.
We wanted a natural reaction from her.
Yeah. Yeah, that one day we shot, or we all met at the bank, which was the principal spot, and we had to shoot just down the block, not half a block walk. And we had a torrential downpour.
oh
Remember
man.
that? It was still dark in the morning. It was raining like crazy. And what would have been a beautiful stroll right down the street turned into a major enterprise of people trying to stay dry and be ready to go. So, even in these little things, goofy stuff happens. The one day that we shot totally exteriors in the back there with the fire truck and the police cars was probably the coldest day of the
It
shoot.
was freezing.
Oh
And
wow.
Tony was out there with nothing. It's just his shirt and
Thermals underneath my shirt.
and it was just freezing.
But Jamie graded it a lovely golden, color. You wouldn't know it was there. It looks like just a nice day.
Yeah.
We shot all that bit with all the fire trucks and everything. That was all shot in one day.
Oh wow.
Right.
The pre-production, the schedule, which they, I mean, Simon and Jamie had planned too. We had a certain amount of a little bit of flexibility that we knew if it was going to rain and we were going to shoot an outside location, that we might be able to, shift one day or whatever if need be. But it was a very, very tight schedule all the way along.
Jamie, I can't let you go without complimenting your cinematography on this picture, because there are some shots where you feel like you just nailed this just beautiful lighting or scenes. Is a lot of it just natural, the light that's coming through windows and curtains, or are you spending a lot of time either in post or on the set, like really determining how to kind of set up the shots?
No, all the lighting was kind of planned. We don't have a lot of time. But one of the biggest challenges is how do you make a bank look like a movie?
Mm.
So I used every trick that I had to be able to make it look cinematic. I really enjoyed the basement stuff and how ultra gold it was. I really heightened that color, that feel to it. But yeah, all of it, pretty much all of it was planned. The only natural light that we used was the exterior ones. And although it was cold, what was super great for me is that it was an overcast day, and it was absolutely perfect for filming. Like the sun came out once or twice on that day, and it made my life so much more easier. But inside the bank, it was challenging because if you just turn on all the bank lights as it normally is, it's very flat and very sterile.
Yeah, I bet.
So I have 4-foot LED tubes, and I had someone like brig plugs for me and strategically place things. And I did turn on like half of the lights that were meant for the floor, and just kind of put LED bulbs up everywhere, like in front of the actual vault was all red. I made that whole corner like always red kind of thing, and just try to make it heighten it, but don't make it look cartoony like some of our other movies, like The Mousetrap or What Lurks Beneath or whatever. I could play with it more and make it a little more sci-fi or a little cartoony. But with this, I was trying to straddle that balance of making it still look realistic, but at the same time heighten it, but not too much, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But
Well, I loved it. I was like, wow, this actually looks quite expensive the way that you had set it all up. So bravo, sir. Well, job well done.
this is my favorite thing to hear, as Simon knows. And I rarely get asked about it, so thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
You made him so happy, Ted.
Simon, my last question is for you. I'm sure because this team works so well together, you guys are already working on or thinking about your next project. Is it going to be another horror picture? And are you going to bring Anthony along for the ride again?
Well, I will tell you that we're working up right now. We're gonna pivot. We're working up a bit of a faith-based drama thing, which I'm hoping to rope Anthony into. It's all of these things are just stories, right? They're character-driven stories. The fact that it's horror, the fact that it's a bank robbery, the fact that it's on a submarine or whatever, like sort of they're all just backdrop things. But
I love that.
we do have a rather exciting, when I say, and it's a bit like what we're talking about with the bank robbery, when I say faith-based, I think people get an idea on what that is. What we've got hold of is a very good story. I can't tell you what it is just yet, but we've got hold of a very good story which is inspired by a true story. So we're trying to realize that with the team, which again, it'll be probably, there's a large chunk of it will probably happen in Wisconsin, I'm sure. So we're going back to familiar ground, and absolutely, if I could get the team back together to do that, we will be doing it.
Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody else is as well. The movie is called The Omro Heist, and it is on video on demand everywhere. Also, look for them on social media. You can use hashtag The Omro Heist to tell them about what you thought about the movie. And gentlemen, congrats on the project. Give Demir my best. And thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks, Ted.
Thank you.